So thank you very much for attending this online presentation by the Ottawa Public Library. And I will now turn the session over to Lynda Buske. Lynda, take it away.
Hi, everyone. Okay, so I'm going to show a few slides to kick things off, and then we'll go to the Shutterfly website and I'll show you how to create a site. If at any time your participant panel is in the way, just click on it and move it around so that you can see things clearly, because I will be on the edges, upper edges especially, of the website. Or you can click the little minimize button and then just pull the black bar out of the way. So the first thing I wanted to just go through is setting the scene. And also I've done some screenshots because you never know when a site's going to crash, and this way we can at least use my screenshots. And yesterday it was very, very slow, but it typically is slower on weekends. So I'm hoping Monday morning people aren't furiously working on Father's Day projects. So what is, why Shutterfly? I'm sure you've heard of lots of other free sites for photography, such as, well, Flickr's probably the oldest and best known, but they do limit the number of photos now that you can post before you have to pay a monthly fee. There's Instagram, which is very popular, but it's pretty much designed for loading photos up from a mobile device, and you kind of have to jump through some hoops to get it up from your PC, or you have to copy them from your PC or your phone and then load it up. So I couldn't be bothered with that. There's Snapchat, which only puts photos up for 24 hours and then they're gone. So I find that frustrating when my niece uses it because I don't get to see the photos in time. And then if you are serious about your photography, SmugMug does offer for a monthly fee, I think around $10 a month. You can post your photos there, and it gives you a mechanism whereby you can sell them through the site. So if you're serious, that's one that you can consider. And they actually bought Flickr in 2018. The other site that I'll mention that is, I think, as well, it might not be a paid site, but it's called 500 Pics. And it's, again, for posting seriously good photography, I mean, your best photos, not your whole trip, say. But it's kind of weird if you post it and then you have about 24 hours to get a bunch of likes. And if people don't like it enough, it kind of goes to the bottom of the pile and nobody sees it. So kind of bizarre. But anyway, I'm not competitive about my photography. So, so the reason I like Shutterfly is it is unlimited free storage, and I've been using it for about a decade. So I have more than 1,000 photos up there, and they never remove any. I can just keep on going. I like that. You can customize a nice website. It looks pretty. It isn't just a bunch of cluttered albums or anything. It's very clear how the site works, and people can easily find their way around, which I like. And you can post large albums. So, you know, if I'm posting on Facebook, I tend to post 3 or 4 pictures, or maybe 5 or 6. But if I want to show you 100 pictures of Rome and 100 pictures of Florence, I want to do it in an area that allows me to have my friends and family view it very easily with these large albums. So I can do that on Shutterfly. And it's easy to see all the albums. So if someone says, well, where are your photos from the Danube? And if I've posted them on Facebook or something, I probably have to scroll through all my cat videos or whatever it may be that I've posted on Facebook since I posted my Danube photos. But on Shutterfly, they're mostly my trips, and you can set up multiple sites on Shutterfly. So you might have one just for your trips, you might have one just for your pet, whatever, or just family photos. So it's really easy for me to find. I can either move that album up to the top if I've got a group of people that are interested, or I can just send people a link to that specific album. And then if someone does, if you do invite someone to sort of comment on your photos, you can do that right from the website. They do have to register with Shutterfly, but if they do that and they comment on your photos, then you get an email, which is kind of nice. So I can see when my sister's made a comment, I can click on that comment. It takes me to the picture she was talking about, and then I can reply if I wish and get a little conversation going. And then Shutterfly has a whole separate arm, and that's what keeps the site busy on the weekends, is the shared site area is one arm of Shutterfly, but the other arm of Shutterfly is set up to sell stuff. That's where they make their money. So you can produce a hardcover a photo album. I teach that at the OPL as well. That's available on the other arm of Shutterfly. You can make a coffee mug, luggage tags, a cushion, whatever you want using your photos. So these are projects that you can do. So while you don't have to go to that area of Shutterfly ever, if you do want to, it's the same account that you can use for both. So what are the downsides? Well, they do slightly reduce your photos when they post them on the shared site area, not when you make a project, but on the shared area, they do reduce the resolution a little bit. I don't think you'd probably ever notice, but the odd time you might. And there are ads on the shared site. They're usually static. They're usually just off to the side, and you'll see them when we go to the site. I don't find them particularly intrusive. And there is a way around it so you don't see them, and I'll show you that. And it's just by using the slideshow mode. Okay, so this is typically what the site will look like. Well, it won't say 50% off for President's Day. Probably now it's advertising Father's Day, but it'll look basically like this. And at the top there where you see, you can see step 1. That's if you've not got a Shutterfly account yet, that's where you sign up. It's very simple. You just give a name, your email address, a password, and you're done. You don't have to give credit card information or your street address or anything like that. They'll send you a confirmation email and you're good to go. So then I signed in. Obviously, it says, "Hi, Lynda" there. And then off to the side, you'll click on Share Sites. And then as soon as you click on that, I obviously have some share sites already established. If you're doing it for the first time, it won't show anything, but you just click on Create a Site. So you can see at any time I can make a new site. And then you just say make a free site. And then you choose a category. And you can play around with these. They're different layouts, different sort of motifs, different look and feel to the website. I like the travel one. That's the one I typically use. And then you give your site a name. It has to be unique to all the Shutterfly users. So if I just put Lynda's photos, that's for sure going to be taken. But if I put my first name, last name, or if I put Lynda's photos, I used Lynda's photos 5, that wasn't taken. So you have to make sure it's unique. And then you can choose whether or not you want only people that are registered with Shutterfly, so you keep it private, or anyone on the website. Now, your instinct might be, oh, well, I kind of like to keep it private. There is a downside to that. Chris tried to do this, and what happened was that unless you're very, very close friends, or maybe your sister or something might be willing to sign up with Shutterfly to go look at your pictures of Paris, but your casual friends and acquaintances, and even some of your lazier relatives, they're just not going to do it. They don't want to sign up with Shutterfly. They're worried they're going to get ads or whatever, and so nobody was looking at his pictures. So what's the risk if you open it to the world? Very, very slight. I mean, especially if you're not tagging photos in detail, and we don't even know if they have a search function where people could find all the photos on Shutterfly that said Peggy's Cove or something. But I really, I'm not too worried. And, someone, I guess, could come across it somehow, come across one of your photos and take it and sell it. But again, as I say, it's a little bit reduced resolution. So I feel the risk of anything happening untoward to your photos is very minimal. So I open mine to the world. So this was one. I clicked on travel, and then I just used just the test, but unfortunately that name had been taken, so we're not going to be able to use that today. Someone else took it, but you can I could just stick numbers behind it, which I may do as well. And so then, as I say, you specify, and then you continue, and it gives you a template, and this is within the travel motif. So you just pick a color design that you want. You go to the bottom, say I'm not a robot, and you click on Create a Site. So then it will ask you to add pictures. If it doesn't, if for some reason you click off that by accident or whatever, then you can still add them with this section at the bottom. The first time you add a photo album, unless you use that pop-up, for some reason or other, it doesn't say a little prompt, add an album. It says add other section, including calendar, message board, and more. But the and more includes photo albums. So you just click on that. And then after you've got your first album up, it's really simple because there's always a little box that says add an album. So you click on that. If you didn't click on the dialog box, it will just take you to pictures and albums. Now, if you give a title to this, it is a title for the whole section. You can see at the top, it's adding a section. It's not going to be the title for your particular album. So I would just leave that as it is. But as I say, if we'll use the pop-up today, and you'll see it's even simpler. So when it says add pictures and you click on it and everything works normally, you get this dialog box, and you unless you're a former Shutterfly user, go to upload new pictures. And typically, I mean, I use Shutterfly all the time, but when I'm creating an album, that's a new trip. I mean, that's the first thing I do when I get back. I don't go make a pillow or anything. I upload my new pictures so people can see them. So I just upload new pictures. It takes you to this screen, which you click on choose photos, and you can also, that's at the top where you can name the album. You can always name it after, so not to worry. So you name it in this area where the date is. It's going to default to just naming the album by a date. But if you post 2 albums in a day, it's going to give it the same name. So that's where you can name it, or as I say, if you forget, you can do it on the site. So you click on choose photos, and it will go to your you will see this, it'll just go to your computer, your pictures folder, etc. So I'll walk you through that. And then I added in some Norway waterfall photos, and it comes up like that. And that's as soon as you've got that one album in, as I say, it's really easy. You then just say add album for your next one. So here's what my website looked like a while ago. I tend to change my banner picture depending on the trip. And so you've got options at the top here that I'll go through under the gears, and I'll go through all these sections and how you can get people to view your photos, etc. But that's kind of what the top of it looks like. So there's the information that Chris has put in the chat window. So you can either cut and paste it out of the chat window, or it's here. I'm going to post these slides on the tiny URL that you have there. So if you want to go access the slides, make sure you've copied written that down, or copied that tinyurl.com/lbuske-shutterfly.
The easiest way to get that is in the chat window. So if you don't have the chat window up, at the bottom of your Zoom screen, you should see a button for chat. If you click on that, you can then get the chat window, and you can copy and paste that information out of there.
Okay, I think I'm going to have to stop share on this because it just didn't take the whole screen. So we'll start share, and I'll go to this one. Okay, so what we're going to do now, better put the reading glasses on because the fonts get a little smaller here. We're going to go to, oops, new tab, and we're going to go to, can you see it okay, Chris?
Yep.
Okay. So we're going to go to Shutterfly. So I'm just going to type in shutterfly.com as if I was starting new. That's the official site. And so this is what, so as I say, right now they're pushing building a project for your dad. So this is the area where you can make a photo book, card, stationery, wall decor, whatever you want. But we're not going to go to here. We're going to sign in. This is kind of weird because it usually keeps me signed in. Okay, so there I am. I'm already automatically signed in. And then off to the right here is where we click on shared sites. So you can see as it runs along there, that first row of images is projects they think I might want to create, and they've just grabbed pictures. They always grab people pictures. I don't have many people pictures, but they always grab people pictures from, you know, many years ago when I didn't have any gray hair. They grab that and will create possible projects you might want to buy. So you can ignore that. Okay, so share sites. So we'll click on that, and as I say, we'll hope this is a little more responsive today. So there's my shared sites, but we're going to create a new one, like you would be doing. So you just click on make a free site. And so I'm going to use that travel one, and we're going to call it OPL test, and we'll see if that site has been taken.
Hopefully not.
Hopefully not. And then I'm going to open it to everyone, and I'll click continue, and it will tell me if that site's been taken. Obviously it hasn't, so that's good. I'm going to click on this format because I like that color combination, but you can see there's choices: antique blue, I am not a robot, and create the site. So this is unique to you. You take that OPL, that URL at the top, that's what you would send to your friends, etc. So they could see your site when you're ready to go. So we'll click on add pictures here, and it should just take us right to my computer. So upload new pictures. Choose photo, kind of a 3-step process here. Choose photos. And then it takes me to my pictures photo. So I'm just going to open this one, and I have reduced these photos just because I know it'll go a little faster on the upload. So I'm going to select all those. I hit open. And then at the bottom right here, that red button, add, and then it adds the 5 photos, and we'll just watch it do that. And then as soon as it's added, now sometimes, yesterday I was getting this loading buddy. Usually once you've seen that completion bar finish, it's there. And for some reason or another, it sometimes spins. So you just click off it, and chances are your photos will be there if you saw that completion bar done. Okay, so we didn't actually name the album because I always forget. So we're just going to name it here because it defaults to the date, and that's my birthday. So I could kind of leave it like that, but we're going to change this. So you just click on edit album, and we're going to change this album title to Norway, say. Okay, and you just click on save. So the next thing I wanted to show you, now that you've got this album, and this is your I'm not sure why it's not showing. Okay, so we're going to go in here. So I'm going to just show you, we're now under pictures and videos, so we're not on the home screen. That's why you don't see the banner picture, but we're under pictures and video, but you can always go back to the home screen and access it there as well. So I'm going to show you how you can delete a photo. So as soon as you just hover over these photos, this little arrow comes up, and you can always remove a photo. So say I wanted to remove this one, or you can click on it, it's gone. You can rotate photos right from here, left or right. Sometimes the vertical photos come in sideways, depending on how you've processed them, or your camera, or your photo editor. So you can always rotate them very quickly. So, but say you want to add additional photos. So you can go under here and just say add, because I never remember, I'm not always getting exactly the right number of photos the first time. I always forget one, or I think, oh, you know, I could choose from another one. So we're going to add back in this photo that I deleted. So we're going to say, oh, changed my mind. I do want that one after all. And I think it's already ready to go. And as I say, you could probably click off there, and it's probably already done, but we'll just wait here. Okay, so it's been added back in. Okay, so what if you don't like the order of the photos? Anytime you add a new photo, even if you liked your original order, if you add a new photo, it always adds it to the first of the album, and that might not be where you want it. So we're going to click down to arrange and remove photos, and it just brings up all your photos, and you can move them however you want. So you have to click on it, and then you can say move, and it says before item 1. Well, that's where it is, so we don't want that. So how about we say move it to after item number 5, and that will put it at the end. So I click on move, and that puts it at the end. Now say I want to move 2 to 1. Now say you have a whole ton of photos and you can't see this one because it's way down at the bottom. Don't forget to click off this one, because if you can't see it and you say, oh, I want to move 2 to before number 1, if I do that and say move, it's going to move both those photos. So I get in the habit of every time I do one and I hit move, I click none, and then I'm ready to move another one. Okay, so get in that habit so that you always just do the one and then click off. When I upload photos, it doesn't always upload them in, you know, kind of chronological order, or the order that you took the photos. Now, I'm not saying you always want to show your photos in the exact order you took them, but typically I want to show the beginning of my trip, the middle of my trip, and the end of my trip. But anyway, it doesn't always load them up in that order for whatever reason. If you don't like the order, there's sort options. So you could just go take an old to new, and you can see they switch these for the chronological order based on the date of the photo. but you can sort them in other ways too. So that's a quick way. If they come in and it just doesn't look right, then I usually just start from, or I use multiple cameras. So I don't want them sorted by the photo name and number, because then all of one camera is going to appear and then all of another. So I sort them by date. Okay. So you can say save, but we don't have to save that, but you just save that. And okay, so let's go back to the home page. And this is where you can add in a banner picture. Okay, so you just say you want to change the picture. And we'll just find a picture. And typically you want to choose a fairly narrow one. The one I'm going to show you is probably not the best one, but it'll show you how narrow it has to be. So let's just kind of go back here. And I'm going to choose this one. It looks like you could crop it to fairly narrow, but you're going to have to decide what you like. And this one takes a bit of time. I don't know why, but it seems to take a little bit of time to come in. Okay. Now don't click on the photo, because you can't do much with it if you click on it. Go over to this section, and I'll just click off and see I hovered over in that section, not down here, but up by the picture, and you say edit picture. And then it gives you this nice little bar that you can, you know, figure, well, how can I squeeze this in best and still show a little bit of the tops of the mountains? And you may decide, well, you know, I've got a better picture where I can see more of what I want. But that's kind of the idea, just to give yourself a banner. And as I say, I tend to change mine with every trip. But just watch that, because I go there and I think, oh yeah, edit that section. But no, that would edit this whole section. So just hover up and get to the picture options. Okay, any questions from here? I'm going to go, if there are no questions, we'll check for questions if there are.
We've got no questions in the queue, but just a reminder to anybody, if you want to pose any questions, just put them into the chat and I'll relay them through to Lynda.
Okay, so I'm gonna, you can still ask questions. I'm not really changing. I'm just gonna shift to my personal website just to show a few other things. It'll just be easier because I've already got some things established on my website. So it's gonna get to, it sometimes takes me to the bottom of my screen. I'm not sure why, but okay. So this is, okay, so this is my website, and you can see that there are 3 people that are members, but anybody can just write a comment in the guest book. But if they do want to comment on individual photos, you do have to be a member. So let's just open up an album. I'm logged in, so I'm going to have, you know, these choices to do things with. But let's just, you can click on it, or you can say view album. Okay, so here's the whole album. You might want to warn people it only ever shows the first 25 photos. So if they think, you know, just looking at thumbnails is going to do the trick, they have to click on all if they want to, you know, if they're choosing a particular photo or looking for a particular photo, they won't find it necessarily in the first 25. Now you can see right away this ad popped up to donate to the Ottawa Food Bank. So you might be able to click off that, but not. Anyway, other ads will pop up, but as I say, they're not too intrusive, and I'll show you how to view the album without that. So so let's just go for that. So say you were going to have someone, they just click look at your photos, they just click on the first photo, and then if you want to get rid of the ads, you just hit this button here, slideshow, and you're not restricted to the timing that they give for the slideshow. You can always forward it faster. You can always pause it if you want to look at a picture. It just takes away those ads, which is nice. Okay.
Lynda, what I find really handy is to hit the pause, and then it will never auto advance, and you can then use the arrow keys on either side to manually advance one photo to the next.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I was just, yeah, I was just clicking the arrows. So yeah, you can always override theirs. But for editing and doing things with your photos, because, you know, we're the owner of it, we want to do a little bit more. So you know, just let me just go to a different album here. I think I'll just choose a different album because I've got some where there's some comments, so that would be interesting to see. So we're going to open up this Windjammer. Now, the first thing you may have noticed is that what it defaults to is your very first photo will be the album cover that we saw on the home page. Now, if you saw that this was the photo that we saw on the home page. So it defaults to the first photo, and that might not be appropriate. It might be your photo in the airport or something, and it's not really how you want to represent, you know, Florence or Brussels or something. So what you do is you can just hover over this and just click use for album cover. So any picture you can choose to use for album cover. And again, you have the rotate left, right, the remove, etc. And the arrange pictures will take you to that dialog box I showed you before. So, so I'm just going to show you how. So let's pick this one. So here's one where, say you want to label it. I click here if I want to put a label in, and I might type over that word and put in some other word, whatever, to label the place. Or you can label it down here as part of a longer description, or you can use both if you've got a lot to say, okay? I don't tend to caption my photos too much because I feel they should speak for themselves, and most people don't really care what the name of this building is or whatever. But down below, you can see somebody can like it. They could, I guess, get on their Facebook. But these two comments are from people, well, me and Chris, who are actually members of my site. So Chris made a comment, I commented back. Yeah, this is probably a good record. Me telling Chris he's right. That's writing, Chris. And then this next photo, we had a little back and forth. So Chris was saying, making a comment, my sister commented back, I commented as well. So that's kind of fun. And as I say, if you don't see them on your site, you'll get an email telling you that somebody commented on your photo. Okay.
Typically a once a week email you get, eh?
Yeah. Now, when my sister usually tells me when she's got, well, sometimes they pop in right away. It's a once a week if you comment back and they comment back, but lately it's been the minute they comment, my inbox just, well, I don't know if Chris is commenting on almost all my photos, my inbox will flood with his comments, but it's kind of fun. It's like Christmas. Okay, so we've got lots of time here, so I'm going to go through a couple more things. So we're going to go back to the album, and we're actually going to go back right back to the home page. Now, if you have, I have 100 albums, so it's only going to show the first few, and then there's more. You can click on more. But if you want to arrange an album, rearrange an album, say you want the St. Lucia one on the top, you just go up to this top area, which is the section. So this is the section that holds all your albums, and you click Arrange Albums. And it works exactly the same way as arranging a photo. So say I want my Windjammer up at the top. I click on that. I say I want to move it before number 1. That's perfect. So I click on Move, and it moves it. I just automatically click off it just in case I want to make any other move. But if not, we just hit the Save button, and it will move that album up to the top. Okay, so that's kind of handy. As I say, if you have various, viewers and you want to have bring an album up to the top for people to easily see. But as I say, each album does have its own URL when you open it, so you can always send them a URL of a specific album. I tend to post maybe 3 albums of a long trip. Typically, more than 100 pictures kind of bogs people down, but most people can look at 100 pictures, especially if I'm not captioning it and they're not reading it. They can look at 100 pictures within easily less than 10 minutes, usually 5 minutes, because it's kind of click, 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 and then you might see one you want and put a quick comment. So it's not onerous. If you post an album with 300 pictures on it, people think, oh my goodness, I don't have the time for that right now. I'll come back to it, and they may or may not ever come back to it. So I highly recommend that your albums hover around 100 photos, and you can see for the most part, I've stuck to that. Some are a little bit smaller, some are a little bit bigger. Okay. So the other thing on this site, so here's where you would invite a member. So you can email a friend or a relative or whatever and invite them to be a member of your site. But they will get an email from Shutterfly. I think Shutterfly is the one that actually sends the email. And so Shutterfly will say, oh yeah, please join this site. But they will be instructed to sign up to do so. So that's going to be up to them. But you can invite people directly from here. And then one of the cool things is at the bottom of this site, you can actually post any hardcover books that or projects that you made in that other arm that I showed you. So Chris and I did pictures for a wedding, and we posted this book. This is a hard copy book. You can play it and you can see what the book looks like. But what was great was we could create the book, post it here, and then we had our site open to the world. Anybody could then order this book and buy it for themselves. So we didn't have to buy the book and send it off to people. Anybody who wanted the book could come here and buy it. So that's a kind of handy feature of this shared site if you do get into creating things on the other part of Shutterfly. So the other thing I'll just go through briefly is at the top here is a gear button, and there's various things that you can do with that. So if we click edit the page layout, even though you've created your site, you're not locked into the layout. You can change the layout if you like, if you want to change or try a different sort of format. You can edit the site info. So here's where if you do change your mind, so you can change the title, because the title of your site does not have to be unique. It's only the URL that has to be unique. So I could change this title if I wanted to. And then here's, if you change your mind, you decide, you know what, I really just want to stick it or keep it to members for this particular site for whatever reason. Say you were using it to show pictures from a historical club or a book club or whatever you're a member of. You just decide everybody's going to be a member, then that's fine. You can always change your mind about access to your website. So nothing's really locked into stone here. So yeah, those are the main things. The style and what's the style? Let's see, I can't remember the style. Oh yeah, the style. You can change the color of the template if you want. Okay, so I think that was all I wanted to cover, but I realize I did cover it, probably a lot of material coming at you fairly quickly, but this is good because we have lots of time. I can go over a section again. When you go back on your newly created site, you just you can go to Shutterfly and it will show you your various sites like we did, or you can just put your URL in, and that's typically what I do, and then I favorite this site, so I never have to go to Shutterfly homepage and see all the ads or everything. I just go to this shared site. The only time I go to the Shutterfly site is if I'm going to make a book or something. Okay, so any questions?
There's nothing, well, there was one in the chat from Peggy asking how long will photos stay in the site, and I did reply there that Shutterfly never deletes your photos.
That's correct. They're there forever. You can, if I went down to my oldest album, I think if I go to the bottom, I'll say view all 104 albums. It probably goes back to about 2000 and it's not showing. Let's show them all here. I'm very prolific when it comes to, but you know, it's just a really nice way. And I think, well, why take them off? If I don't have to take them off, why take them off? So the first one was 2009, my Baltic cruise in 2009. So that's, you know, more than 10 years ago. So it's great that way. And they don't charge. And I haven't heard any buzz that they are going to charge. They make their money off that other part of the site where they sell you stuff. And they never, if you start making a project on the other part of the site, they will encourage you, oh, finish that project, buy now. But on this side, the only time you'll get an email from them is, oh, you've made this new site, go post some pictures. But they never, I never get an email from them saying, oh, not many people are going to that site, you know, not looking at our ads. No, they never hound you. They don't care if nobody goes to your site. I have a site that I set up when I was selling photos that was by topic. I can't remember the last time I was there, maybe 2 years ago, and it's still there, and they never bug me about that.
there's a couple other questions, Lynda. There's one is, does Shutterfly upload pictures from Google Photo or Amazon Photo? Do you want to show the add photos dialog box where you
Yeah,
can...
let's see what options you have.
Yeah.
I think there is one for Facebook for sure. I'm not sure about Google.
Facebook, Google Photos, your share sites and Instagram. But if you bring up the dialog to add photos, they're in the left-hand panel.
Just doesn't want to seem to bring that. Let me just hit. Oh, there it is. Okay, yeah, Google Photos, Facebook, Instagram. You can bring them in from Instagram, or as I say, from another shared site you have, or from a Shutterfly project you've been working on. So those are your options.
Okay, there's also a question, can I organize albums by alphabetical order?
Oh, good question. I have no idea. So let's just go back and do.
I suspect it does give you
I
these.
think it does, because I think it's the same basic dialog box as the other one. So let's just check that. Whoops. Don't know why it takes me to the bottom of my. Okay, so it's in this section that you want to organize your albums. So arrange albums. So we'll just see what the choices are. But it probably would be on date of creation. Yeah, date.
Alphabetically by name.
Alphabetically by name, old to new. So basically the same options as you had for an individual photo.
Okay, there's also in the chat window, we've got, if you keep your site private, can you still invite friends and family to view your photos?
You absolutely can, but unfortunately they will have to register with Shutterfly. So it doesn't mean that they're going to necessarily get a pile of ads, because they're not on the Shutterfly part that sells stuff, but I can't guarantee they won't ever get an ad.
The issue around that for Ruby who asked this is that because you've set it as private, the only security model that Shutterfly has available to them is a Shutterfly account. So if you want to keep it private, the only way that you can say who is allowed to use it is to choose Shutterfly accounts that are able to view it. So that's why that restriction happens to be there.
Yeah, that's a good answer. That's correct. Yeah.
Somebody else asked, I think I missed it, but what's the storage limit? Again, it's unlimited.
It is unlimited as far as I can tell. I have over 1,000 photos up there.
And I think your sister has probably 10,000 photos up there. Yeah, it's they do state that it is unlimited free storage.
Yes, and it just seems that a lot of the other sites are going towards limited storage and then pushing the pro version. And there is no such thing as a pro version for Shutterfly. There isn't another type of site that would give you more options or more. It just this is it. But these other sites, they don't have that other arm to sell you a coffee cup or something. So they don't really care that they may or may not be making money. To them, they're making money on this site through that one little banner ad. And also they feel if you post the pictures there, they're really easy to grab if you go to make a project, right? So it's probably to their benefit that you could grab photos from this area. I don't tend to, just because I know they've reduced the resolution a little bit. It probably wouldn't make it much difference on a coffee cup or a luggage tag, but if I was doing a big enlargement, because they'll print those, I want to upload full res and be sure that I've got that full res.
Okay, there's another question about, this is going to be contentious because Lynda and I have different opinions. What's the best size for your photos before downloading? So I'm presuming that if you're uploading to your site, what resolution of photos should you upload?
I'll answer that first, because I do have different opinions on this. I tend to make my photos dimension like 1500 by whatever the other dimension. No, the widest side 1500 pixels. I find that anybody viewing that on any size screen, it's going to look fine. I don't know if Shutterfly reduces it any lower than that. Probably not. They probably wouldn't even be that low. But I find if I do that, they load up fast and my computer doesn't time out or anything like that. I don't like sit watching 100 photos load up. I like to walk away and do my laundry. So when I come back and I found it's frozen, and then I have to load other photos up and to figure out which ones I missed, then load them up. And remember, it puts all the new photos in the front of your album, and then I have to sort them, et cetera, et cetera. So I tend to resize them first. and I find the resolution is just fine for viewing. But if I'm doing a Shutterfly book, I may take the time to make sure they're all full res. Maybe not all of them, but there's certain photos that I want a full bleed, like I want them to cover the whole page of the book, and you want as big a resolution as you possibly can have for that. But if you're going to put like 6 or 7 photos on a page in a photo book, no, you could go with the 1500 as well. But for this side of the site, for a shared site, 1500 is probably big enough. Now, Chris's attitude is, hey, they'll take full res, I may as well load it up.
Yeah, my opinion is always that I don't know always how I'm going to use the photos, whether it will be in a full bleed photo book. So I have a double page spread that I want a photo on. And so I always upload at full resolution. I've never had a problem myself where the upload has been interrupted.
But if you upload full resolution to this shared site area, and thinking you can use those for a photo book where he's saying he wants it full bleed across 2 pages. I don't know for sure that they can go grab the full res, or if they go grab the less than full res. So if I'm making a project or a book, I would, even if I had the picture on this part of Shutterfly, I would reload it full res when I made the book.
I think I really do think that, and it's not clear from Shutterfly's documentation, but I'm pretty sure that they store the photo at whatever resolution you upload it. How it gets displayed on the site will be reduced. And so I just upload full res. There's no charge for it. So that's the route that I go. We have another question in the Q&A of, can I edit photos after uploading to Shutterfly?
What was the question again? Sorry.
Can I edit photos after upload to Shutterfly?
Yes, I think there is not much, but you can edit a little. Let's just pull one open here.
I'm not sure you can from here. I didn't think.
So there's not a lot. Oh no, maybe not. I think it's more when you're making a book, you can do a bit of editing, but not so much from here.
Yeah, I think here you just have the rotation as the only.
Yeah, if you were making a Shutterfly book, they give you some options for lighting and cropping, but not here.
My opinion on that too, on any photo sharing site, you probably have stronger editing capabilities on your computer to begin with. So sure. I always do the edits locally and then upload the edited photo.
And even if you're just using, if you're on Windows 10 and you're using Windows Photos, it's built right into Windows 10 software. Even that has lots and lots of fine tuning for, lightning shadows or whatever content, all sorts of levers you can use that would be way better than anything that's on Shutterfly.
That's all the questions we have in the queue right now.
Okay. Sounds good. And please don't hesitate if you do trip up or you get stuck. There's, I think, a help button or help you can call on Shutterfly, and they're helpful. But please don't hesitate to email me. And if you're willing, I can always cite your computer. If you're Windows 10, we will both have the software Quick Assist that allows me to cite your computer, and I can help you set up the website if you're having trouble. Okay, so don't hesitate to do that.
So a reminder, at the top of the chat window, there are links for Lynda's email address, where you can get the slides for the presentation, future Tech Cafe presentations, as well as information about the Ottawa PC Users Group. Those links and so forth will also be sent out to everybody who is registered at the Eventbrite site. So you should get all of those links by email, but you can grab them there as well.
Okay, so I'd like to thank Lynda and Chris very much for this terrific presentation, and would like to remind everyone that they will be back next week when Chris will be the presenter, and will talk to you about how you can protect your computer. And if you've not managed to copy down, as Chris said, if you haven't managed to copy down the URLs to Lynda's presentation that Chris posted in the chat, they will be sent to you via Eventbrite. So thank you again for all of you who attended, and goodbye for now.